Welcome back to Movified Wednesdays. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And again, it is Movified Wednesdays. Hello, Stephen Reed. Always a pleasure. What's up?
Yeah.
Shout out to big old Memphis. We were talking about Grok 3, and I guess it originated out in Memphis. So finally, they're being put back on the map. Other than all the music and the food and everything else you can think about Memphis that you would want to go visit.
Put back. We're reading that. We're drawing the map now. Grok 3 just made a new map.
That's right. And then we also got Jacob Greer from the Sixth Man Movers, located in Nashville, Tennessee. What's going on, Jacob?
That's right. What's up, y'all? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm excited. Kind of want to understand who that sixth man is. And if you can give a little bit of definition, like let's just kind of jump right into that, because for a company that's running 22 trucks, over 1,600 Google reviews, I mean, you're doing a phenomenal service in Nashville. And I just kind of want to, I always love to understand how people pick their business names. So where did Sixth Man come from?
Yeah, well, that was me and on the basketball team, right? If you are a basketball fan, you understand who the sixth man is. It's your most valuable bench player. It's the guy that's being maybe used in many different ways, right? They got a role to play. They got to keep the bench happy, keep morale up. You got the coach's ear. You got to go in and give a foul every now and then. You got to maybe contribute to the score. So when I got to be building a brand, I just wanted to have something away from Jacob, right? And a little more inanimate.
A little less Greer moving and storage, but a little bit more.
Yeah. And as you maybe know, I came from the big league locker room, right? I was one of those guys.
Yeah, no, let's kind of discuss that. And just for my 2 cents, I always figured that you call it sixth man because you were always that sixth guy being picked on the move.
Yeah.
And it's really only the top 3 or 4. So the basketball phrase totally works for me. Okay, so let's kind of dive deep in here, because Steven talks very highly of you. And doing my research, I realized that you used to work for Big League and now have went off on your own, and no animosity. You guys clearly have a great relationship still going on. I mean, to me, it's a fantastic success story of someone leaving a moving company, starting their own, and then just really just blown out of the water. Because a lot of times you always hear that story where the guy goes, okay, yeah, I'm leaving. I'm done with the moving world. And then 2 months later, you're like, wasn't that John that just left us? And now he's driving like a 1-ton pickup, like U-Haul truck, off trying to poach half our clients. So tell me a little bit of that history.
Yeah, it definitely can go that direction. Yeah. I mean, when Steve got started early in the career, that he needed help, right? He needed help moving. I was living in Memphis and kind of coming back and forth between Nashville and, when I would be in town for a few weeks, months, he would always put me to work, so I was one of those early movers for Steve.
I'll even go there. I'll say a little more. Best friend, biggest supporter, head cheerleader. How can I help you figure this out? Like Jacob and I in grade school, we always ended up drawn to each other, right? We were always kind of looking for more, maxing out things, as I say, running through a wall. And then turning around and saying, okay, that's how you build a door. Well, Jacob is somebody that we always found each other on the other side of the wall, looking at each other like you had the same idea. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And really that long, bluntly, I don't know if Jacob and I mean, we've done business together. We've had friendship together. We've gotten blackout together, having fun. I'm not sure that we've ever argued with each other like a genuine, I mean, obviously debate. But I'm not sure that we've ever
maybe for
argued.
fun. Yeah, maybe for fun.
Yeah.
I think Steve,
I just wanted to share that. Yeah, we're 2 peas in a pod. We've been kind of drawn to each other for a long time and had a good time. We're troubled youth, our parents would say, and proud that we found our way out of it.
Yeah, maybe a little misfit, right?
So you leave Memphis, you're working with Steve, and you're kind of going back and forth. what was something that you said, hey, okay, I'm moving out to Nashville, I'm going to start doing this? Was there a lot of like, we're utilizing Steven as your best friend, as that person to turn to go, okay, this is what needs to get done, this is how we should be moving forward?
Being an employee or 1099 or whatever we were in the early days for Steve, I mean, I got a glimpse at some of what he was doing, and it was fun. It was the early stages, right? We're just throwing stuff at a wall, and then yeah, I came kind of to move permanently to Nashville, and he had always been in my ear of like, you really need to do this, man. You know, like you would kill it up there, right? It's like, okay, man, like I'm gonna see if I can figure something else out, you know. Or so it was always him really kind of like putting it in my ear of I would say like motivating me to think about it, right? And then the early days we kicked up a move help, right? So the way that Steve and I kind of thought about, well, let's try this, right, is let's see if we can put up a profile, do some U-Haul move help, get a few reviews, and yeah, being a best buddy, I mean, he knew my financial strife and stress, and he knew this was a way that my hard work ethic could be rewarded. So, I mean, he really pushed me into it in a cordial kind way of like, man, just trust me, like, hey, you know, you'll be great at this or whatever. So we just put up a profile, and then I started doing the side hustle thing, right? So I was working in hotels and doing hospitality for like fine dining restaurants and stuff like that on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I would get, you know, a job request through U-Haul and go load the 26-foot truck or whatnot. And then at some point it just kind of started to give a fork in the road of like, okay, well, which one's going to be, you know, more rewarding for you? Keep showing up to that restaurant and living that lifestyle, or maybe take those same skills and apply them to the moving world.
And this is like circa 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah, this is probably our first.
Right. So I mean, you're now looking at, you know, 15 years in the business.
Yeah.
If not longer, when you think of hanging out with Steven, but that was probably more for fun.
We'll take it a step further, Mark. Me and him worked for a country club moving, which was
there's a whole nother story if we had time.
If we had time, I'd tell you all about it. They're still in operation, a mom and pop type spot. Our buddy Major, what's up? His dad employed us misfits who needed work in summers and stuff. So we kind of got introduced to the moving world through a friend's father giving us a shot. And this was Act 2, right? Was Big League Movers, Nashville. And Act 1 was a country club in Memphis, Tennessee.
That's the, you know, like in football, they say all the football coaches in their tree. And, you know, you got Bill Parcells is a mostly tree. And then you got like Nick Saban comes from that. And Belichick comes from that, stuff like that. Well, there's a gentleman named Mr. Van Dyke and Major who are the Bill Parcells in this scenario with a lot of branches. Now, it's a little heavy on the right side. I got a lot of branches off me from that tree bank. But they started a lot of motivation.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
Moving companies, you know referrals are the best leads, right? But communicating with customers, tracking progress, managing payouts, it's just overwhelming. That's why at Snowball, we do it all for you. And we're really good at it. In fact, in just a few months, the Snowball platform helped JK Moving generate over $200K in new revenue. We even helped New City Moving book 30 moves in a single month. If you have happy customers, we can get you referrals. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get the first 2 months on us.
delegation. What did you find worked really well when you first got started?
Well, I mean, I think for us, we were at least in the Nashville market, getting started doing big league movers in Nashville. It was loose expectations, throw stuff at a wall. Let's see if we can make this happen and then reevaluate. And we got involved in the Groupon world, the living socials, the deals,
The half off depot.
half off depot. Tennessean paper up here had one called Deal Chicken. I mean,
It was a wave, the bubble.
it was a wave. It was a race to the bottom. It was a great way to get a bunch of laggards, folks that loved the most discounted group. But it was really our first approach at trying to scale. So we could run a week long deal on one of those sites like Groupon or Living Social, and we could gain like 100 clients for the next 3 months. And then we could start to build our team and start to think about, okay, well, maybe I need to be a manager, not a mover, and that kind of organic growth there.
If you could look back over the last 15 years, what would be something that you would have wanted to change? Like, I want something that you'd want to change. And then what would you tell your younger self to be like, hey, this is what you need to do to be successful. That took me 10 years, 15 years to kind of get there.
Yeah, I think delegation is still a large part of the workload. So letting go of the vine and delegating the things you can, right? Letting control is an illusion, right? So not trying to do every aspect, and good is okay, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that was a lot of my challenges in my early part, is just trying to be the best in all aspects of the business. And that's hard to do. It's hard. It's like that. You remember Mr. Deeds, like the guy who greets you at the door, and then he's all of a sudden I mean, that was us in our early years of doing big league movers. Was like, you take the call. Oh yeah, let me get you to my manager, and then you transfer. Go, hey, this is manager, blah blah blah. And then you'd go out to the move and be like, hey, I'm your crew leader.
Well, I'll paint a picture of influence in that too. Like Jacob, you hear he was running a social club in Nashville. He was helping grow in the social club over there. High standard, fine dining, elite club. He was, he had background in hospitality and hotels. So Jacob kind of brought that element to this different kind of wave of customer, the young scrapper, the online shopper, different level of service that kept saying, like, who are you guys? Y'all don't have a labeled truck, but who are y'all? We kept raising that bar. That was really key.
Yeah. I mean, I think the value that we brought early was us, right? You could do things to a high level because you had your hands in most all the processes, but that runs its course. I think getting back to your question around what would you tell your younger self? I mean, I think it's like, get really good at delegation and keep trying. Like it's a practice. It's not something that comes to you without trying to rinse and repeat and figure out what aspects of the business you got to hold on to and what aspects of the business you really need to let go of, So I think and I'm still learning that lesson, man. I think even at 22 trucks and 50 guys and all that good stuff, a lot of my day is breaking down where can I bring the biggest ROI of my time and energy for this company and the group of men that I employ. And
what do you think that is? Like, what do you where do you think today your biggest ROI is as the business owner doing the volume that you're doing in sales, in growth? Like, what is that look like to you? Like, what does your week look like?
Well, it's chaotic right now, but we're in our off season, right? So I would say it's filled with strategy and implementation of what's going to be going on this year. My biggest ROI is like strategy planning. I really do well with the big relationships and the culture piece. That's a big part, and that's a buzzword. I mean, what does that really mean?
Oh yeah, we talk about it a lot on the show, and I always relate back to Steven and how he treats his employees and his team members at big league, as one big family, and he really kind of encompasses the whole, like, this is who I am. I want you to be the hardest worker in the room, and I will be the hardest worker first to be an example to everybody else. So, and we talk about this a lot with other moving company owners. Oh, the culture, the culture, the culture. But, I always find that it's trying to get people all on the same page. Like who is buying in. And a lot of the times that, as much as we want to say, well, I get everybody in the way we interview, we'll get everybody in. They're all excited that I only hire people that really want to be part of the 6-man moving culture and the philosophy and da da da. And it's like, no, like that's a bit of bullshit. Like you still need those 5-6 guys because they either have experience or they're really good guys, and you still have to work on them, right? You're not just getting a bunch of 20, 30-year-olds. You are getting the guys that have been maybe in the industry for 20 years. They're in their 40s or maybe in their 50s, coming over to 6-man because, someone has said something. Hey, these guys are good. These guys are really busy. And you now have a guy that's been doing it for 20 years going like, no, I'm not really interested in like bowling night, right? I'm not really interested in that baseball team that you want to start, Jacob. Like,
Yeah.
great idea, but like this isn't going to work.
The pendulum
So,
swings, right? Like there are times and years and months and seasons of 6-man where maybe bowling team is actually going to be a hit. And then there's that pendulum will swing where like that's kind of a burden and no one wants to go. Why are we doing this? And we do have a basketball team. I will say we're in the playoffs, and it's mostly movers, that are hooping right now. So they call me coach up here, which is not great. I wouldn't recommend it because that means you have to coach everybody or they expect it.
You got to bring it. You got to bring it.
But I mean, I think, as far as like culture to me, what that means is like, how are your values kind of shining through the processes and the people that represent your company? And it could just be little things. I mean, I think, something as simple as like the way I post bulletins around the office is like sarcasm and humor and memes. And my most recent one is like no slides or foams, right? Like these guys just want to wear these slides. And so it's like me, like with my finger and a bunch of, like family matters X's over slides and chromes. Yeah. I mean, I think they're like, it's the little stuff as well as the larger kind of things that really have a big impact, like which trucks we're about to purchase, right? Like which ones are the guys going to be proud of to get in, that type of thing. So culture can kind of cross boundaries and be a spectrum of things. And
have you found, okay, you call yourself the coach or they call you the coach, but as you've grown and gotten larger, have you found yourself going, okay, I actually need that assistant coach. I need someone that's actually going to bring that culture out to the rest of them.
yes,
Because Jacob is busy working on the truck deals.
Yeah.
He's busy working on like the bigger, delivery accounts or, situations that are happening. So, how has that delegation been for your company, and how was that process?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of at least organizational design that I have is I've got a pretty, like, if you guys saw my financials and stuff, I got a pretty thick middle layer of management in my business. And that is my response to that, right? Is how I've got some assistant coaches, right? Because at this level and the level we're trying to go to next, it really is key to maintain our quality while we go after volume. So, I mean, as far as like I got to work through about 4 to 7 other managers, if you will, or leaders in this organization. I've got a operating team. They all specialize in something different. So I get to work with them and collaborate with them because I'm a collaborator. I love the team aspect of stuff. So if I get a chance to speak with you, it's usually going to be targeted. And there's certain guys on my team that have aspects of the business. So I'm going to talk recruiting with certain guy. I'm going to talk fleet and facility with another guy. I'm going to talk quality assurance and new that liability waiver rollouts and valuation with the other guy. So I really try to target a subject matter with the personnel, and then really let that be our craft that we come together on and stuff like that.
I always believe in you have to, constantly read. You have to learn. You need, as the owners, as much as we're educating ourselves, so that our mind is as much educated as the next person beside us, if not more. What were some of the tools that you were using over the years to be where you are now? I mean, someone that's sitting here going, well, I strategized and I work with my teams and I did this and I did this. Sometimes that background is because I, went and got a master's in business, or I specialized in financial analysis, and
that ain't me.
Trying to be my CPA. Well, exactly. Well,
whatever that one is, that ain't me.
Yeah,
I'll
keep the word small. I won't use big. Big words. All right.
Yeah, 3 syllables or less, man. You're gonna lose.
Yeah,
me.
no worries.
I'm pretty kinetic learner, so a lot of what I do to kind of expand my knowledge is really throw myself at the issues or the problems. And I'm an avid reader. I listen to all kinds of podcasts like Movified. I listen to
shout out.
Hey, and there's a lot of windshield time in my day, right? So I'm on Audible, I'm on Spotify. I'm a life learner. That's what really gets me going. So it's wherever I can grab it, right? And some days that's a podcast, some days that's like a book, other days it's dialogue. I mean, a lot of kind of the reinvigoration workload this week, the stuff that like gives you energy and doesn't take it away, has been meeting with some vendors that we want to work with, or I've been meeting with a couple of smaller players in my market that are our competition, but still like we need to get to know each other type thing. And I always walk away from those situations with like my wheels turning, and how can we take something maybe that was an idea that was discussed and really expound on it.
We've mentioned this in the show, where you think back, and it sounds, knowing Steven, our history is very similar. We all kind of got into the industry, early 2000s. We all decided to kind of get our companies moving around that 2008, 2010 era. We've been growing it. We've been building it. We all are successful at where we're at now, in our own different paths, but things were still a lot different back then, right? You didn't have the groups. If you were talking to someone like Jacob or Steven, if it was anything like my area, let's say back in 2012, 2015, and you went ahead and said, I'm looking to start like a mastermind. Someone's going to say, what the fuck's a mastermind? Because that really was like not a thing back then. But someone's going to say, I'm starting to get I'm going to phone like these 4 other small moving companies, and like, let's all get together over lunch and talk about business tips. I bet you'd probably be told like to fuck off, and like, sorry, I'm too busy, or I'm too big, or I don't have time for you.
Here. Jacob and I, on this side, Jacob and I really, we're both students of the game. We both went to the network of moving hard, got shut down quickly, and after a certain size, major couldn't help us too much. And so us having each other, and what did you learn the last 3 weeks? What did I learn the last 3 weeks? And I think that's continued since 2011.
Yeah. Rubbing off each other.
Go to different industries, but getting different things culturally.
You had something different because you both knew each other and were friends in different cities that were both trying to grow. So you had someone to turn to. To me, that's almost like having a business partner at a second location going, hey, like, how are we going to grow? When in return, you have 2 best friends that are like, we're going to kill this, and we're going to be the hometown dominators of Nashville and Memphis. Let's fucking go.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google. No one's gonna call. No one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first, so that these Google searches turn into your customers not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company to fill the right role for our company. And not only that, they helped us answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating. So they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025 and beyond. So, the game changer for our company, I'm confident it'll be a game changer for you as well.
Visit readyrolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
Yeah. Same education, well, Jacob's a little more educated, but same education, same dumb, we don't give up. But we didn't have much information to go off of. I'll say that. We were learning by fires and glad that you found that fire before me.
Yeah, the resources that are out there and available. I mean, even like this, I genuinely, not to blow smoke, just love that this is content people can grab onto. I mean, there was such a low barrier of entry, but in the early 2000s, like when we got started, it's like, yeah, you could get it like $1,000 together and get some dollies and do the damn thing and lease a truck or whatever. That barrier of entry has seemed to be it's risen over the years, but the resources are immense, and that was not the case. I mean, we really were trial by fire, figuring it out on our own. A lot of cross industry stuff, like I'm in the entrepreneurship organization in Nashville, and there's a big group of us, but I'm in a business forum of 7 other business owners, and they're in different industries. So when I say like a lot of like that cross-pollinization came from outside of moving for me in the early part of this journey, because quite frankly, there just weren't these networks inside of this industry that were available. Now you had AMSA, but even that was like kind of, we were too small. We weren't.
That's Mark's world now, not that you were in at that point.
It's a different setting, and I agree with you. I know when we look back 10 years, there was the EOs, and there, you had these BNI groups, and you had different networking groups where, hey, this is great. This is going to expand my the way I think, the way I maybe run my business, because I can have this opportunity to sit down with this plumber or like the painting guy, or even someone that's a lawyer or somebody that you can sit down and going, man, they're way smarter than I am at the business. They've been doing it for a lot longer, but you didn't have the community of movers that you do today. And I really appreciate that it's available out there. I think the caliber, like you were saying, has changed, where I find it's almost easier to start a moving company today than it was back then. You didn't have a lot of money that you had to put in the beginning to get figured it out and like, let's go, let's do it. But now it's, hey, I'm going to build a website like this. I'm going to go lease a truck, hopefully, or rent a truck like this, but it doesn't really matter because my website looks really good. Okay, cool. I have all these different resources. I have training videos. I have this. Like, I could get my whole company started by maybe 3 or 4 different applications, and I would be a full-fledged like moving company ready to go.
Yeah.
So whereas before it was like, okay, it's gonna take us a little time, right?
Yeah.
We got to get our legs wet. We got to get this foundation built in. We're all trying to still Google what an SOP is. It's not System of a Down.
You've been looking at my
like
cash. You've been looking at my.
Yeah, I know. I know, right? So exactly, right. It's one of those interesting aspects, that we look at over the time. But now you're in Nashville. You started there. I can only imagine. I haven't been there, where I'm looking at Nashville as a city that there's got to be like a dozen moving companies out there. What was some of the biggest challenges that you faced, with the companies when you started in there that were bigger and larger than you, and you were just trying to get that hustle going. What were some of the key areas that you marketed yourself in? And then how did you expand even larger? Did you diversify? And so talk to me about those two aspects.
As far as like our approach, our differentiator, uniqueness about us, I would say, like in the early years, really was the people we hired. I mean, the movers I had in the early days, quite frankly, would probably still run circles around some of the team today. Now, back to that culture though, they wanted to work with me. They wanted to grow a company, right? Learn right beside me. There was something that I offered maybe unknowingly that they were getting that wasn't going to hit their bank account, but it was going to, project them into the next thing. So I think like for me, it was all about the people, because I couldn't afford the shiny truck, right? So I had to have something that was a competitive
Shout out to
advantage.
Bessie.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I was driving Bessie for probably 3 years too long. I mean, maybe 5 years too long. But yeah, I mean, there's that also kind of helps shape how some of the themes or parts of our service that is still important today. Like, I mean, if you show up in a 1997 F700 that looks like you all, and it's kind of backfiring on your way in, you've got to make a great first impression when you get out of that truck, right? So there were certain aspects of that like really kind of, because we had to learn how to compensate for what we could do really well and what was just like doesn't really matter. And I think a lot of folks, it's all about eye contact, understanding their pains, working with them, telling them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. I mean, a lot of that kind of came because we had to make that our value. As far as like the second part of that, I mean, what was your frame that one more time? Because I think you're asking what's our competitive kind of advantage early and how do we gain traction. I still value, I mean, there's a picture right here. This is like one of my first teams, and they were badass. I mean, they from the move coordinators to the women I hired early to the ladies on the phone and stuff to the movers that would show up. I mean, those are the glory days up here at 6-Man Movers, but it was we were all pulling the same direction.
Now, for those that are listening going, man, I really can't wait to, my goal, my 5-year goal is to be, these guys are listening going, man, I can't wait to get to 22 tracks, or even trying to get to like 15, they're sitting at 5, they want to grow, they want to expand. They might be finding that their local residential market isn't pulling it. They want to start diversifying. What was those steps for yourself? Where did you go and have that thought when you were strategically going, circa 2018, 27, somewhere around that time, you built the company up. You're like, man, okay, like we need to start diversifying. What was your first 1 or 2 divisions that you decided to open up or expand to? And then tell me that process of how did you acquire those clients?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our, I kind of look at that as like your planted foot is your core provision, like household goods moving is always going to be where we're planted. And then our pivot foot is kind of what we're working outside of our core provision. Like for Steve, it's like final mile delivery, right? On deck deliveries. Like that's, there's a lot of synergy there, but it's still outside of household goods. For us, we were lucky enough to get opportunities from our client base. There's nothing like somebody going, hey, you guys knocked this move out of the park. I've got a commercial business that I'd love to talk with you about, right? Or so a lot of our early opportunities were literally from our client base saying, hey, would you do this, right? And you try all kinds of stuff. I mean, Steve and I, like, we were delivering Christmas trees one year. I mean, like we would try everything, right? Don't underestimate the power of sap inside of a box truck.
I was going to say real sappy. That's
Yeah.
what I'll leave. If you're thinking about doing that, just know.
But that was
just
keep guys busy in December, right? You had to figure out what else could you do with your workforce and with your trucks and your opportunities. So
It's what did you end up doing?
we tried to, Red Bull was a big client of ours early. And here in town, there's always parties, there's always festivals, and music industry's really big here. So Red Bull was a partner that we had early on where anytime you,
What does that look like? I mean, I could say, well, this client's one of my starting off companies, everything else. But when people are thinking Red Bull and I see the little Red Bull little mini car, with the Red Bull on the back of it, I'm sure they probably have those out all over the place.
Red Bull
And
girl,
they're setting up for
yeah.
okay. So I wasn't going down that
Wings
path, Steven.
team.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
wings.
keep it, what are you delivering? Just flats of Red Bull or like what's
They're a marketing company, right? So they have infrastructure throughout every city in America and probably the world where they're helping the people that distribute their product, like the bars that sell Red Bulls and vodkas or whatever. They want their brand. They want to be an asset to their people that are selling their products. So we would deliver all their infrastructure. So if there's a block party, where you see 20 Red Bull tents and, umbrellas everywhere and tables or whatever, they aligned with us and we created a partnership early in some of that transition. But that was our pivot foot, right? Like, I don't know how to set up a wigwam, right? This huge tent that you got a stake in the ground or whatever, but we'll figure it out. We got guys, we got tools, we got a good attitude. And I think those
Inflatable finish line, right?
yeah, the big finish line at dirt bike races and stuff. You see that stuff everywhere, but it's got to get there somehow. And they came to us and said, our 3PL companies are just not up to par. We're partnering with young, motivated people that are growing their company in the logistics business. And that made us appear larger than life, right? We got to take on a global brand and be at all of those events. And it didn't hurt because we're young. We get VIP tickets to everything they put on, free concert tickets, whatever. But that's like a good example of those kind of strategic partnerships that honestly we were lucky enough to just kind of be doing the good work in our community, to have the opportunity to have the conversation. And then later you look at them as like a key stakeholder and in what we're doing. They would pay us for storage and service and all of those things as well.
Was there any mistakes that happened in the beginning that you can share that you're like, oh, like we noticed when we were doing this, it was totally ass backwards, completely incorrect, and we need to correct and do it this way to be more efficient?
I think back to my example or model of the plan foot, pivot foot, that pivot foot really has to have some synergy. It can't be too far outside or else it gets a little wobbly. And I think we would try certain things that maybe, like one in particular was like CC Racks, which was a metal rack company. We would go pick it like out at Home Depot. You see all these plants on racks, right? Well, we formed a partnership with them and we would deliver and pick up. And it was good work because for me, because we could do it at any time, right? So my trucks could be at a Home Depot parking lot. I could bill some labor, and it could happen at 9 o'clock at night or whatever. But then you kill the culture, a couple of years later when you realize that that work is the bastard of the crews don't want to do it. It's like, I'm staffed on this. Oh man, I'm going to quit this job. It's like you're losing it. What kind of like you thought was good intentions is now actually kind of coming back to bite you in the ass. So I think like it makes sure that it has good synergy. And then also like when you onboard something new like that, put checkpoints along the way to really look back and go, hey, is this working? Are we sure? Because a lot of those things are an annual contract. You got a 60-day out usually or something like that. So make sure it's a good fit. I think we can get wide-eyed a little bit at new opportunity, and then you kind of realize like maybe it's not even worth all the onboarding time you put into it.
I remember when I started going after these type of companies, it's that wide-eyed feeling of, oh my goodness, like I can totally relate to your whole story. And then after you get the deal done and you start looking at it, you sit back and you're like, oh shit, I totally forgot to charge for XYZ. Or, oh, we totally underquoted on this area, but hey, good thing we're making really good money on here because we thought this delivery would take 4 hours and it looks like the guys are just popping them off in 2 hours. So, it's definitely exactly what you're saying. Once you get that account, you might have a loss. You might totally just have a win. but you need to then have that strong relationship to be able to go back to them and
Exactly.
go, okay, like, and maybe setting up, if they wanted a year account, set up like a first 3 months. Hey, you know what? This is a new account for us. Let's give it 3 months. Let's work out all the kinks. And then let's
Absolutely.
sit back at the drawing table to maybe make a revision. Maybe we can adjust here. We can increase here. Typically you're not decreasing, but you're just increasing new things that you
Yeah,
found.
yeah. Without those checkpoints, you could probably create a little resentment in there too, and I think that's what happened with that particular account. I mean, also I think like exhaust cost is the one thing that's really overlooked in those. Like it's like, oh yeah, we have to throw all the cardboard away, or there's just these things that you go.
Everybody forgets about the dunnage.
What's up, guys? Austin Yarbrough here, and this is your invitation to the Movers and Shakers event, April 28th, April 29th. I'm putting in the work right now so you can have the best event of your life. It's gonna be life-changing, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm just gonna be there to help, and you're gonna join the new family. This next family is here for you, and you're gonna be here for them. April 28th, April 29th, get your tickets, let's go.
Yeah,
Everybody forgets about it.
exactly. So
Do you use the word dunnage, Stephen? Is that an American term that you also use, or is that just Canadian?
I'm familiar with what it is. We rarely use that word. It's been since the maybe 60s.
All right. Okay. So I want to kind of expand on this, Jacob, because I know these listeners are going, I want to go after these accounts. I want to try and attract them instead of having the 3PL ones, because I want to get into that white glove delivery service. Like, you obviously have expanded not just on Red Bull. I'm hoping that you have a couple of these accounts. What was the next step afterwards where you're like, okay, man, we've done the checklist. We've got this figured out. Hey, sales team or Jacob, like, let's get out there and find new. Like, what should someone do in a search to try and go, this is where I have to start looking. These are the type of contacts. They say, if you want to get past the gatekeeper, you want to ask for so-and-so in this department, because this is the department that actually handles it.
I think particularly like you got to find some databases that are gonna be that type of work, and they're out there. A lot of that stuff you can pay for. And then I think even more important than finding the right person to call is, what are you going to say when you call them? Because, we're inundated with follow-up emails, and with the like AI world that we're living in now. I mean, so much follow-up and email and text messages are coming at everybody now. So I think the scripting really has to be dialed in. And that only happens by trying it out. And usually the gatekeepers, they're going to take their job serious. So, they're guarding their superior's time with their life. I like the idea of, once they're identified, you just show up. It's people, maybe they're caught off guard for a second, but then it's really appreciated because people don't do that anymore. I mean, the only guy
Like,
that walks,
show up at location. You find out that this is their office.
show up,
You show up there.
be curious, ask questions, be interested. And if it's genuine, they'll know. And they'll give you their time. People love talking about what they do. There's
Ask
three of
Steven.
us,
I think it also, to share, it's a long-term relationship with these things.
Yeah.
They're not looking, it's expensive to change companies once you're in there. So, like, good luck going to Red Bull right now in Nashville. If they got somebody going real well, they're not going to change anything. It's a risk they don't need.
Yeah.
And so it's a long-term relationship. It's being there, introducing yourself and introducing yourself again and again, and being there when they do need to move.
Yeah. I think the Gary V, right? Give, and then take or ask. I think a lot of that is what I mean by just show up. Like, it's just a conversation at first. I think that is the only guy who shows up here is an Aflac guy, and he's persistent and he keeps showing up.
There's something in the water.
And you know what? He's got a meeting next week, right? We're going to hear him out because he keeps showing up, right? I mean, it's just one of those things where I think as the world turns into this kind of automation, some kind of authentic people, connection is what we're all kind of longing for. in a way. And I'm telling you, that's what works for us, right? Like, it's not I can't like make a email that stands out in their inbox. I mean, I don't know how to, but I do know how to win them over really quickly if I can get in front of them.
Right. I like that. I like that a lot. Looking back at last year, what would you say was one of your biggest fails that you want to change for this year? Whether it's marketing, whether it's how you manage yourself, whether it's how you treated Steven.
Yeah, more okay. Well, a couple things. Um, I think being more connected with my community like this is definitely an initiative that I'm taking serious. Because it's a two-way street. It definitely fills me up and is awesome. But I mean, fast forwarding that guys like us can do for young men that are trying to do the thing that we did 10 years ago or whatever, like that is also a value to me. And I don't want folks to live on that island that maybe I had to do for some of those early years. So like staying connected with our community is one of those things. On a granular level for service, I think it really is keeping our pivot foot close. We kind of went too outside and tried some things maybe that wasn't in our wheelhouse, but because we were asked in a polite way or maybe twisted our arm a little bit, we said, yeah, we'll try it. But I think this year it's like, no, if it's not 1, 2, or 3 that we do, we're kind of at a place where we just don't have the bandwidth to learn a new industry product provision. So just being honest with ourselves and not trying to kind of look at the shiny object, that we all can do. And I mean, we've been like planting, growing, and there's a harvesting action that I really got to do. So, the seeds have been sown, the growing is happening in our business. And this year we really got to bring it home, so, and that just means, that just means like not getting distracted and, you know, household goods is always going to be our bread and butter. It is what we do. It's what we do best. All that other stuff serves a purpose, usually outside of revenue. It's going to serve maybe exposure. Like a lot of that Red Bull stuff put my trucks in the community, right? A lot of that was kind of break even-ish work, but it put me in a place where I would gain traction. Or it made our brand appear larger than life, right? So I think like a lot of that is now kind of in a place where we don't need to go after some of those. We've got great relationships that we just need to maintain and maybe reinvest more time into, as opposed to taking on the new ones. So this year it's definitely keep it simple,
Nice. That's a good way to end off. Keep it simple.
That's it.
Focus on the goal. Keep it simple. Maximizing your hometown.
That's it.
Beauty.
Well, hey, Jacob, this is an honor to say that too on here. I'm proud of you.
Oh, man. Thanks.
Every day I see it. So proud of you.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a couple episodes with you on here, but just want to share that. Proud to be your friend. Proud to be your peer in this industry, and so excited for you to share your story with other movers and kind of jump out here.
Yeah,
so
man,
thank you.
we're all fighting the good fight here, guys. And thanks, Steve. That means a lot. You try and get me to tear up on here or something.
Hey, when Steven phones you and says he's proud of you, it's actually better than your parents telling you, "Hey, I'm proud of you." Right? It's Steven Reed telling you he's proud of you. So that's a big
high bar.
Thing.
It's a high bar.
That's a high bar. For all those listeners that have lots of questions for Jacob, maybe they want to understand a little bit more about the delivery. They want to see a little bit more of how it expands. Shoot us in the messages. Leave us some comment.
You just made a message when you're hitting Broadway Street. He knows all the places to go. So if you're in Nashville,
I do get a good kick out of telling people where to go. I love that. So any mover, any listener that is like coming in, I can tell him or her, kind of the commercial places, or I can tell them like the divey spots. I mean, all I need to know is a little bit about you and what you like to do. And I love doing that. It's part of my fulfillment.
I love it.
Right?
So when Jacob's not running a moving company, he's also a tourist guide.
Yes,
so
local
it's
liaison, right? And
The
anybody
local
who's coming
liaison.
into town for the moving conference that's in March, shoot us a little message. We're gonna do a little get together and get a bunch of us in a room. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jacob. This has been great. And you know what? For all those that are listening and you want to check out the ATA, the American Moving and Storage Conference that's happening in Nashville, March 9th to the 11th, go check it out. Get your tickets. There's still space available. You're going to catch us all there. Movified will be all set up and ready to go. And we are excited to be there on site. So I'm gonna have to pull up with Jacob's liaison and go, hey, listen, I'm only there for 2 days. Where am I going?
See, I got it.
Let's
I
make
got it
happen.
worked out for you, Mark. Don't worry about that.
Tennessee
Awesome.
edition.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, everybody, stay movified.